Hey there, I'm Jamie and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to create another embroidery tutorial to give y'all something to do. Projects like this one is really what's keeping me sane and keeping me busy inside the house. So I loved the idea of doing a winter themed one just to mix it up a bit and bring in some of the festive spirit. I have a link to the pattern that I created in the description. It'll take you to my website and you can just download it from there. I'd love to see if you recreate this embroidery. If you do, tag me on Instagram at Jamie.Photo and let's get into the video. So we're going to start by putting fabric onto your hoop. I like to embroider my project on the plastic hoops and transfer them onto wooden hoops when they're done. The plastic hoops have a little slot that it holds your fabric in, so it holds it a lot tighter. Another optional step is to use these pinking shears on the edge of your fabric so that it doesn't fray. I usually just tighten my fabric, pulling it through the back, round and tightening in between until it feels tight to the tap. Here we are going to be tracing onto the back side of the hoop so that we can lay our embroidery hoop flat on the piece of paper so we can see it through the fabric. Now I'm using this light tablet for this step, but you can also use a window. I show that technique in my How I Design Embroidery video if you want to check that out. I trace the stem and most of the needles. I'll leave out some small needles if I'm worried that my thread isn't going to cover up the pencil line. This is what it looks like with the pattern successfully transferred. And now we are going to take the color we'll use for the branch and split that 6-threaded embroidery into 3 strands. So we are embroidering with half the thread here. I like to begin at the top of my pattern and work my way down. You'll see I embroider the main branch first, and then I go back in and add the little branches off the sides. For the branch, I'm using the back stitch. So this side is done. I'm going to do the other side off camera and come back when we're going to do the pine needles. I picked out 4 greens to use for the pine needles here. I'm going to start with my darkest green, split that thread and embroider with 2 strings of it. And I'm technically just using a long back stitch to make these pine needles. This will be the thickest thread that we use on the needles, so I go in and fill in the ones that I want to be most prominent first. I also have all the embroidery thread colors that I used linked in the description below. This one is just about done, so I'm going to do the other side off camera, and we'll move into adding the smaller needles. So we're working darkest to lightest here. So grab your green that is one shade lighter, and from here on out we are just going to embroider with single strands of each thread. This will really help to fill in the pine needles and add a lot more dimension. The best technique I found for the pine needles is just to make your stitches random lengths, and that makes it look the most natural. You can already see the difference that it made compared to the other side. I'm going to do that off camera. Other side is done, so we will now go in with our second lightest color using one strand of that embroidery thread again. And you can see that most of the pencil marks are gone now, so all I'm really doing is adding dimension where I think it looks empty. Also wanted to point out that I am double knotting all the thread in the back. And our last step is to go in with the lightest color, splitting it again to embroider with just one thread. This is going to give more dimension and add the illusion of highlights. My technique here is just to add a couple to each bundle of pine needles so that I don't add too many of these lighter needles. This side is done, and now we're going to do the same to the other side. I wanted to show it side by side so that you could really see the difference that it makes adding in those lighter colors. Now we are going to transfer it onto a wooden hoop, or if you already are using a wooden hoop, just transfer it to the front side of that hoop. Placing the fabric on top of your hoop, adjust it so that it stays centered and properly stretched as you tighten your hoop again, pulling it through the back and tightening as you go. Once you're pleased with how it looks, begin to hot glue the back down. I add a little bit of hot glue at a time and fold the fabric over. Final step is to cut off the excess fabric. And your embroidery hoop is done. Alrighty, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Let me know down in the comments any other embroidery videos you'd like to see from me. I'd love to get your ideas on more patterns that I can create. If you haven't seen my Animal Crossing embroidery or my how to create your own pattern video, check those out. They will be linked in the description as well. And I hope you guys have a wonderful week, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.